Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into the powerful philosophy of Orison Swett Marden. Now, he was a writer from over a century ago, but his ideas on success are, you'll find, incredibly relevant today. Let's explore this idea that our deepest desires might actually be the blueprint for our future.
And this quote, it gets right to the heart of everything he believed. What Marden is saying is that our daydreams aren't just, fluff. He saw them as a kind of mental workshop, the very place where we start to forge the tools to build our real lives. So what we hope for, we actually begin to build.
Okay, so let's dive into our first big idea. Marden asks a really fascinating question. What if your aspirations aren't just wishful thinking? What if they're actually a sneak peek of what you're truly capable of becoming? I mean, that is such a powerful way to reframe aspiration, right? So instead of seeing our longings as just things we want, Marden saw them as signals, kind of like clues from our own minds telling us what we were built to do. So they're not just desires, they're directions. So think about it this way. That ideal version of your life that you kind of picture in your head, Marden would say that's not fantasy. Nope, that is the architectural drawing. It's the literal blueprint for a future that you have the potential to go out and construct. But a prophecy or a blueprint, well, that's just the start, isn't it? So how do we turn it into something real? For Marden, that next step happens in the workshop of our imagination. I just love this metaphor. Think about it. A sculptor sees the finished statue inside a block of marble before they even pick up a chisel. Marden is saying we have to do the exact same thing with our goals. We have to see them clearly in our mind's eye first. Our imagination isn't an escape from reality, it's the rehearsal for it. So Marden breaks this all down into a really clear, creative process. It all starts with that heartfelt desire, that initial spark. But then comes the really crucial step, focus. You have to hold on to that desire with real intensity, keeping it front and center. And only then can you move to the final stage, taking smart, careful action to make it real. But of course, a blueprint is totally useless without a builder. This is where the magic of thought has to be forged into the reality of action. A dream without effort is just, well, it's just a dream. I really love this distinction. Hope and desire, they're what prepare the mold. They give form to your goal, kind of like shaping wet clay. But it's your persistent, enthusiastic action that carves that form into something solid and lasting, like marble. And Marden was incredibly practical about all this. This wasn't just some vague advice to work hard. He gave a clear roadmap for how to keep that fire lit. Things like surrounding yourself with inspiring people, making daily reflection a habit you just don't skip, and even designing your room or your office to constantly remind you of what you're working towards. But Marden knew that the biggest obstacle we face isn't usually something external. It's not about money or opportunity. He argued that the most critical battle is the one we fight every single day on the battlefield of our own minds. He basically urged people to become guardians of their own minds, to consciously choose which thoughts you're going to entertain. You welcome friend thoughts like hope, confidence, and enthusiasm, and you forcefully reject enemy thoughts like doubt, despair, and discouragement. You got to treat them like unwanted intruders. This really highlights that protecting your mindset is a full-time job. It's not some passive state. Marden's instruction is super clear and direct. When doubt knocks on the door, you don't just ignore it, you actively push it away. He believed this mental guard duty is just as important as all the physical work you do. In all of this, the aspiration, the imagination, the action, and the mental discipline, it all culminates in what Marden called nature's great law. This is the ultimate reward for aligning your entire being towards one single heartfelt goal. Marden's idea here is that the world responds not to our fleeting wishes, but to our deepest, most consistent desires. He saw these aspirations as a kind of constant signal that we're always sending out. And whether you want to call it nature or the universe or just your own subconscious, he believed that this signal, when you hold it with real conviction, has to be answered. This is basically the law of attraction in action. By focusing your mind so intensely on a goal, you start to notice and, attract the people and opportunities that line up with it. It's as if your dominant desire becomes your personal compass, and the world just starts to clear a path in that direction. And this right here is the core principle, the grand secret of success, according to Marden. Your focused, hopeful, and persistent energy acts like a magnet. With every single moment you dedicate to your aspiration, you are actively pulling that goal closer and closer to you. And so that brings us to the one question Martin would want you to ask yourself. He believed the prophecy of your future isn't written in the stars. It's waiting right there in your deepest desires. The only question is, are you listening?